Here I am with Mark Baer. Mark Baer is a friend of mine. Up here in Canada, we would call you a chum. I don't know if they use that word in the US. Mark is a family law lawyer who really practices more mediation than, hard on family law. Like, he's not going to go to court. He's going to help people resolve things outside of court through mediation. And, but that's not why he's here. He's here because he happens to be a friend of mine who happens to be gay. And Mark writes a lot in his Facebook page about issues of the LGBTQ2. So I wanted to interview you, Mark, and ask you why you are such a prolific writer and poster on these issues.
Well, as you said, I'm gay. I would say that growing up as somebody who is gay, especially at the time that I grew up, because I'm 57 years old now.
You're old. I get it.
We didn't have representation really, unless it was negative representation in any sort of media or anything of that nature. And certainly, well, I'm not going to say certainly, but my parents weren't anything other than cisgender and straight, as far as I'm aware. Um, and I knew that I was different. And so I think knowing that I was different from the time I started to realize that, which was probably before puberty.
Hang on, just stop there for a minute. I've heard this before, and I think it's just amazing. And I want to drill in on that for just a second. You realized it likely before puberty. I don't think that many people know, understand, realize, or appreciate that to the person who is LGBTQ2, they know that. They know that about themselves at an age that predates puberty.
I just posted something this morning. I knew about it before, and it's not relating to sexual orientation, it's relating to gender identity. And it was about the bird, the cardinal. And the cardinal, the male is a vibrant red, and the female is a muted beige color. And I always wondered how, you might be able to determine whether a non-human animal is engaging in homosexual sex, but you can't know if they're transgender because they can't talk. Well, guess what? You can know, because if they're different colors, then obviously if you have one that's split down the middle, as they've seen with some of these, it's
Okay.
transgender. And so the thing is that people know, they know we don't have different colors for human beings who are lesbian or gay or transgender or non-binary, but people know we're sentient beings. We have powerful brains and minds. We understand ourselves. I used to watch television, and I knew that I didn't find the women, as beautiful as they may have been, attractive to me. I knew that they were attractive, but I found attractive the attractive men, or the men that I found attractive, not the women. And because we didn't have representation at that time, I visualized myself in the role of the woman, and I'm not transgender. So,
Oh,
representation is
that's hang on a
important.
second. That's really that is so neat that yeah, how because there's no other role model for being in a relationship with a man unless you're a woman, at least back when we were growing up.
Right. Yeah. And so I knew, and I have a
Huh.
hard time believing, and I just read something today about, some uh, conservative politicians saying it's illegal for children to have sex, to engage in sex. So why is it okay for them to learn about gender identity, which they probably don't even believe exists? They consider grooming. But I'd like to know how the cardinal bird was groomed so that it has half its feathers on one side being one color and half on the other, or on the other side being another color. I'd like to know how that happened from grooming and who groomed. But anyway, so there's nothing illegal anywhere about kids having sex with each other. And the research shows that about 40 to 55% of, by the time they reach teenager, they've had intercourse, if not sexual activity. So there's
right. We used to play it. We used to call it playing doctor.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
Well, I don't know if playing doctor was actually having intercourse, but
no,
yeah, they
but
used to call it playing doctor. Yes.
Yeah, touching, looking, fondling each other, and just being amazed by the difference in our parts.
So this, so my interest in bias has been long coming, because it was long before I went to college, because I was aware of bias and my need to be closeted for my safety, as far as my sexuality was concerned, for a really long time. And so I'm very aware of bias, and I think that people who are transgender or LGBTQ would have some understanding of bias that is probably greater innately than most people. Because, for instance, if you're a Black person, you're not going to be rejected by your family for being Black, but you do get rejected by your family quite often.
Yes.
I was, for being LGBTQ. And so we learn to hide it and speak in code and things of this nature. And I resent that I felt the need to be closeted until I was 28 years old. And then when I started dealing with my sexuality, I was still rather closeted, although dealing with it. And now we're going backwards. And there's a connection between anti-LGBTQ and fascism.
What's that connection?
Always connected.
Help me understand that. I know that you're very politically astute, and you really parse what's happening in the US, and honestly, it's happening here in Canada as well. But you really parse what's going on through a politically astute lens. So now you are equating anti-LGBTQ with fascism. Help us understand that connection.
Fascism, in simple terms, among other things, is the oversimplification of concepts and the elimination of diversity. And
hang on, slow down, because I want to follow it. I want everyone else to follow it. The oversimplification of concepts,
whatever the
and
concept.
the elimination of diversity. That's okay. That's pretty powerful. And you have the Republicans to deal with. We have the conservatives to deal with.
And the elimination of diversity, just for clarification, it could be defining it out of existence. So, I live a gay lifestyle as opposed to being gay. They've eliminated diversity. If you say that it's a psychological disorder, which it's not, you eliminate diversity in terms of it being an innate characteristic, and then you insist that it can be changed. Now, elimination of diversity can be many things. It could be defining something out of existence, as is done there, and it could be segregating groups of people to eliminate them. It could be imprisoning them. It could be genocide.
Hmm.
And I want to be really clear here. And you're Jewish, I'm Jewish, I'm also gay. Both gay people or LGBTQ people and Jewish people, among others, were part of the genocide with the Nazis. And I have a real problem with Jewish people who are anti LGBTQ because we were there with them. And I'm both of them.
Hmm. So I started our interview by my asking you, why do you write about these issues?
Right.
Let me come back to that.
Okay. Well, I write about these issues because I'm tired of people's willful ignorance, which is basically being willfully uninformed or misinformed. And I don't appreciate in 2022 being told that I've made a lifestyle choice for something that I didn't. And I don't like it when people associate, conflate um, being gay with acting on it. That's like saying, okay, well, we'll accept or not accept. We'll tolerate. I don't like that word.
Me
We'll
either.
tolerate you being gay,
As
or
long as
you're celibate and alone for your entire life. And I want to make clear here about the marriage thing because it's important. Um, under under scripture or certain interpretations of scripture with very conservative or conservative religious people, um, sex should only take place under certain circumstances. It may be for procreation purposes, but it is only for supposed to occur in a marriage. So therefore, if you exclude gay people from being married,
oh
then
my
you
God.
exclude them from having sex, or any time that they have sex, they're engaging in sin.
Mark, I never put that together.
Yeah.
I never put this is a bit of an aha moment for me as to why we want to exclude people from marriage. Because then technically you can't have sex because sex occurs within a marriage for procreation.
Yeah. So they'll,
Hmm.
I'll be tolerated as being gay, but I need to live my life celibate and alone, and I'm excluded until I was allowed to from being married. So it's not even possible for you to engage in sex in a non-sinful way. Sinful. Um, but yeah, and so I post this stuff because there's a difference between being uninformed about something and being willfully uninformed about something. And I don't believe that it's possible in the age of information, or I'll now call it the age of misinformation because people seem to willfully like to be misinformed. But I don't think it's possible to be ignorant about LGBTQ people at this point in 2022. I think it has to be willful ignorance. And I don't even know why I bother posting anymore, because if it's willful ignorance, I certainly understand how bias works. I study this stuff, I've written about it. It's like a force shield that your bias blocks the information, it constricts the information that you're able and willing to receive. And to the extent that you do receive it, you receive it in a distorted manner. So when you have unchecked biases, the bias cause a constriction of the information, constriction and distortion. And I don't care if you're talking LGBTQ or whatever it is you're talking about, it could be anything. But the more constricted and distorted the information you're receiving on any given topic, the more impaired your thinking is going to be. That doesn't take a genius to figure out.
So I just want to let you know, um, much of what I know in terms of LGBTQ to issues, I'm going to attribute to you and what you post.
Thank you.
And also to this brief interview today. You're a deep thinker. And boy, because you are such a deep thinker, honestly, sometimes I have difficulty following, processing, and I have to, as a result, seriously, let what I see, read, or hear from you, I have to let it percolate so that I can, oh, okay, and then make connections with it. So I started by saying, why do you post so much about this? I just want to let you know that you don't have to break through to those who are willfully ignorant. When you make someone like me less ignorant, not that willful ignorance, but where I'm coming from, there's things I just didn't see, didn't know, didn't understand. So I'm less ignorant, the result of your writings. I'm a better advocate.
Thank you.
I'm a much better advocate. So that to me is the value of your posts.
I'm glad to hear that.
That even if you're preaching to the converted, to use these religious axioms, it has value. Because someone like me doesn't necessarily put all these things together. It's because I'm a cisgender male, it's not on my radar. It's not that I don't want to know, I do. But I won't get it in the same way, and I have to put myself out there to gather the information. So you've been a good source of information.
Thank you. And I totally get that because I'm a cisgender male too. And, I didn't understand transgender and non-binary any more than anybody else who's not transgender and non-binary understands that just because I'm gay, that's sexual orientation, that's not gender identity. So I've had my own, I'm willing to admit it, my own biases against transgender and non-binary people that I've had to deal with myself and challenge myself because of it. And I'm glad that I did.
Yes.
It doesn't make me a good person that that if I have a bias against or in favor of something, because a bias is an unfair personal opinion that influences your judgment.
Let's stop there. A bias is an unfair personal opinion that affects judgment. Folks, I've been chatting with Mark Baer. He's I'm going to say friend. I say chum. He's a chum. He's a friend of mine and colleague. How many years have we known each other?
Oh gosh, probably since about 2010 or 11, maybe.
Easily. Yeah. So 12-ish years.
At least, yeah.
And, we've had the opportunity to attend conferences together and break bread together and communicate through Zoom and Facebook pages, whatever, together. So, Mark, thanks for letting me interview you today and having yet another couple of aha moments with you.
You're welcome, and thank you so much for having me. And I'm glad I was able to give you an aha moment.
It was just an aha moment. Like, get over it, right? One day I'll make it out to California. I'd love to see you. And
you did. It's the only time I've ever seen you. It's my time to head out your direction.
Well, okay. Come on. Don't come now, though. The weather sucks. Right. Yeah, wait till spring and summer. You're always welcome at our home.
Thank you. Same here.
Take care.
All right. You too. Bye-bye.